Welcome to The Explainer. You know, we've all heard the name Buddha, but to really get a handle on the man, you have to understand the world that literally made him. So today, we're going to peel back the layers of history and look at the economic, political, and spiritual forces that set the perfect stage for one of history's most important thinkers. All right, let's dive right in, because this is so much more than just one person's journey to enlightenment. This is really a story about an entire society going through a massive crisis, a society that was desperately, and I mean desperately, looking for new answers. So picture this. We're in 6th century BC India. And this isn't just a time of small changes. Nope, this is an era of massive, society-shaking disruption where the very foundations of how people lived are being torn up and completely rewritten. What we're talking about here wasn't a slow crawl. It was an absolute economic revolution. And it all kicked off with one thing: iron. See, iron tools meant you could farm way more efficiently. That led to a huge surplus of food. And with all that extra food, people could stop farming and start building cities. And what do cities create? Trade, a brand new money-based economy, and, you guessed it, a powerful new class of super wealthy merchants. It was like a set of dominoes, where one little change ended up reshaping everything. Now, all this new money had a huge political side effect. It started to concentrate power in a big way. Little territories got swallowed up, and they formed these massive kingdoms called Mahajanapadas, or Great Realms. The kings got richer, their armies got bigger, and they were constantly fighting for more control. The whole place basically became a giant chessboard for these ambitious rulers and their ever-shifting alliances. But here's the thing. This brand new world, with its cities, its money, its powerful kings, it created a massive spiritual problem. The old religious system, the Vedic tradition, it didn't fit anymore. It was like trying to run new software on an ancient computer. It was built for a totally different time. And this right here is where you can really see the clash. On one hand, you have the old Vedic system saying priests and warriors are the most important people. But now, you've got this new merchant class that's actually driving the economy, and they want some respect. The old religion demanded expensive animal sacrifices, but the farmers needed those exact same animals to plow the fields to feed the new cities. And maybe biggest of all, you had a religion that looked down on getting rich in a society that was now totally built on it. It just didn't work. And that's the big question, isn't it? What do you do? This huge mismatch created this deep, profound spiritual crisis. All the old answers to life's biggest questions, about your purpose, about what's right and wrong, about what it all means, suddenly they just didn't make any sense. And it left people feeling totally lost, searching for something new to believe in. So into this spiritual vacuum, you get an absolute explosion of new philosophies and new religious movements. You can almost picture it like a chaotic, super vibrant marketplace with all these different teachers and thinkers setting up shop, all of them competing for followers. 62. Let that sink in for a second. That's how many major new philosophical and religious movements popped up around this time. They were all part of what we now call the Shramana tradition, which was basically a wave of thinkers who said, forget the old Vedic authority. We're going to find the truth for ourselves.
So what were some of the ideas on offer in this marketplace? Well, one of the most popular was fatalism. This was led by a teacher named Macaulay Gosala, and the fatalists basically argued that free will is just an illusion. Everything is already planned out, your fate is sealed, so your actions don't really matter. The best you can do is just accept it.
Then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you had the materialists. These guys rejected spirituality altogether. For them, there was no soul, no karma, no afterlife. The only thing that's real is the physical world you can see and touch. So their advice? Live it up. Enjoy this life as much as you can because it's the only one you've got. And then, of course, you had the skeptics, the agnostics. Their leader, a guy named Sanjaya Balapiputta, he argued that we just can't know the answers to those ultimate questions. Is there a God? What happens after we die? For the skeptics, the only truly honest answer was, I don't know. And anyone who claimed they did know for sure was either fooling you or fooling themselves. So, and this is the really crucial point. This was not an empty stage just waiting for a hero to walk on. It was a crowded, loud, intellectual battleground. The Buddha didn't just appear out of nowhere. He stepped into a world that was already overflowing with competing answers to the very crisis he was about to solve.
And this, right here, is where the story takes a major turn. Because into this wild world of economic upheaval, political chaos, and spiritual confusion, a child is born, a boy named Siddhartha Gautama.
This was the absolutely stunning prophecy given to his father, King Shuddhahodana. I mean, can you imagine hearing that? Your newborn son is either going to rule the entire world, or he's going to give it all up to save it. There was absolutely no in-between. This question became the king's central obsession. His entire life turned into this high-stakes game. He had to shield his son from any sign of suffering, surround him with so much luxury and pleasure that the thought of leaving it all behind would never, ever cross his mind. And right there, the stage was set for this epic conflict between a father's dream and his son's prophesied fate. Okay, so let's pull all of these different threads together. Because when you step back and look at the big picture, what you see is this incredible, almost unbelievable convergence of forces, all pointing in the same direction. This really was the perfect storm, wasn't it? The Buddha wasn't just some great man who happened to be born at the right time. He was the focal point of all these huge historical forces pushing for something new. You got an economy in total transformation, a society desperate for new answers, a world buzzing with new ideas, and then this one royal child is born whose entire life is defined by a choice between two extreme paths. It's just incredible. And that, right there, is the key takeaway for all of this. Understanding the history shows us that the Buddha's teachings weren't some abstract philosophy he dreamed up in a quiet room. They were a direct, practical response to the real suffering and confusion of his time. He wasn't trying to escape the world. He was engaging with its deepest, hardest problems and offering a way through them. It's a question that really defined Siddhartha's entire life, right from that prophecy at his birth all the way to the path he finally chose. And it's a pretty powerful question for us to think about in our own lives too. Do we shape our destiny, or does our destiny shape us? Something to think about.